This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie. You're welcome along to the Maroon and White pod. So the focus for Galway this weekend after a week off is Dublin and Croke at 7:30 on Saturday night, and I'm joined by Maghnus Breathnach and Barry Cullinane to look ahead to the game. Before we do this, lads, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, obviously with the rule changes, but 6 amendments coming in with the rule changes, and they're going to be in action this weekend straight away. Barry, what's your views on this? Is it a bad time to be changing things now when it comes to the rule changes?
Look, it's not ideal, but the only thing is we knew this was coming. Like it's not as if they flagged that that they didn't flag early doors that after 5 rounds of the league they will be reviewing the rules and tweaking where necessary. So I think in fairness to them, like they were open and honest about that this is the trial period, that they didn't have pre-season competitions, that this National League is a trial period for the new rules. They tweaked them. Not sure I agree with all of them, but we have to say, like, I personally have really enjoyed a lot of the games, and I think a lot of the rules have been really, really a real positive. And yeah, look, there'll be some tweaks that will work, that won't work. But what's the alternative? That they scrap them after the National League and we run into the championship, then going back to the old rules. So I think if we can find the happy medium for where we are, I think that's a real positive. My one concern come championship is I think these new rules really suit the stronger teams, and I think come championship we could see a lot of clippings from the stronger teams, maybe against some of the weaker teams, and it could be, I suppose, it could heighten the death of the provincial championships maybe a little bit quicker than we thought would happen.
From a goalkeeper's point of view, Maghnus, do you agree with teams now having to keep 4 back and the 3 up? Or, well, what was your view previously on the 12 versus 11? We're obviously not going to see that now anymore.
They should have to stay in goal anyway.
Well, to be honest, I think it was actually great from day one when they done it, because first of all, that you couldn't even do the back pass to the keeper was a big one. In fairness, forwards could go and really look for the turnover ball early on, and defenders really had to go and beat their man, which was great. Like, it allowed the ball to kind of stay further up the field, and teams weren't retreating down the field either. I suppose the 4v3 now, I suppose the 2 main teams that really using it effectively were probably Armagh and Tyrone, and they will probably feel slightly aggrieved with it, because Niall Morgan and Ethan Rafferty were kind of really flourishing in that kind of role and attacking and creating scores and overlaps. I think Wexford and Laois and Offaly had keepers as well that were really attacking and helped creating scores. But I suppose if you kind of look at Kerry, Galway, even the Dubs, the keepers weren't really coming out. Like, it was still kind of 11v11 up top. Like, so it forces another player to just stay back. Like, it's another thing for referees and linesmen and umpires to monitor, and it's just an extra thing for them to do. But I suppose, if Niall Morgan and Ethan Rafferty insisted on attacking, probably just a wing back will probably just have to stay and just let the boys bomb forward. But in fairness, I really do think the rules up top have suited the game. You see way more one-on-ones. I think the art of defending has really kind of risen to the top again, because if you're not a good one-on-one defender in these new rules, you're going to get caught out fairly quickly. Like, so I think they've been overall really positive, and I think that you can't back pass the ball to the keeper inside the midfield area is definitely a massive positive. So, because it allows teams to aggressively go and try and look for that turnover. So I think it's been quite good, to be honest.
Will you still be coming up the field?
Well, I'd rather at the moment probably not, because I'm not fit enough to do it at the moment. But it's all timing with a lot of them things as well. Like, there's no point just going up the field if you're not actually going to contribute. Like, doing aimless running will be pointless. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how kind of teams, do it in the last 2 rounds of the National League? Will we see Morgan? Will you see Rafferty? Or will you see actually Blaine Hughes go back and goals for Armagh? It'll be very interesting the last 2 rounds. It'll tell a lot as to whether that'll kind of stick going towards the championship or not.
If we look ahead to this weekend, Galway obviously making the trip up to Croke Park on Saturday night, 7:30 throw in. It's Dublin this weekend. It's Kerry the following weekend, potentially a league final then the following weekend, and then New York comes. So there is a potential that Galway play over the next 4 weekends. The league so far, Barry, hard to know with a couple of teams and the new rules and everything, but do you think this is one Galway be targeting this weekend?
Yeah, I think the nature of the Galway manager is that he targets every game. And I can get, Pádraig doesn't want to lose any game, no matter who it is. And to be fair, okay, you could say maybe that we're not sure, like with the Donegal, there's a couple of changes, but overall he probably has started the strongest team that's been available to him in most of the games. So I think he'll go after this game again, and I think if it means that they end up in a league final, so be it. They'll just take every game on its merits. If guys are sore next week and they're not fully fit, then they won't play against Kerry. But if they are, I think Pádraig feels that if you're fit and you're ready to play, you want to wear that Galway jersey, he puts you out. And I think it'll be a good experience again for the lads to go to Croke Park. Recently, where Croke Park was a graveyard for us for such a long period of time, it's now a relatively happy hunting ground. And I think he'll want to get as many lads experienced in that Croke Park environment as possible. And, the Dubs, although completely rebuilding, are still a very, very strong team. And it's a credit to them where they are. I was just looking at their teams during the league over the last while, and like they're bar a few players, they're unrecognizable. And I suppose you could actually really compare them strongly with Corofin and what they're trying to do in terms of that kind of bringing through new teams, because they've lost so many players. Dublin similarly have lost so many players that are icons. Corofin lost icons of Galway football. Dublin have lost icons of national football. And it's a credit to them that they're still so strong, and it's going to be a tough game for Galway going up there on Saturday evening, no matter what team Galway put out or what team Dublin put out.
Do you think it's important to get a trip up to Croke Park under the new rules? Because I was actually up at Dublin Derry, and you can even it's a different game up in Croke Park, particularly even with some of the venues Galway have played in so far.
Yeah, it is. I don't think the wind is going to be as big a factor. It's definitely like Croke Park. It just plays bigger. Like no matter what dimensions any pitch has in the country, Croke Park plays that bit bigger, and more expansive. And it's going to be a good opportunity in terms of testing different tactics. And Man has touched on, I think, one of the real positives, and not an anti-goalkeeper thing is, but just in terms of how the game develops is the inability for defenders or whoever to pass back to the keeper. I think it's really encouraging teams to press, but like it's really showing the defenders who have an ability to break tackles, and that skill in itself is something that was kind of lost, because more often than not, if there was a defender in trouble, it was just to pass back to the keeper, and once it went back to the keeper, everyone on the opposition team retreated. Where now when you see a real press, you're looking at the teams that have the advantage if they have a cornerback like Johnny McGrath or Jack Glynn or Sean Fitzgerald or whoever it is that can break a tackle, get out, break a line, and then the field opens up in front of you. So that'll be different in Croke Park to what it is in any other pitch. And yeah, as you said, it's important to get a run out there, and particularly in these new rules.
What have you made of Galway so far, Manus?
Oh, to be honest, I've been very impressed with them. I think they've really taken to the new rules. Obviously Shane has been kicking some fantastic 2-pointers, and I think it's the best I've probably ever seen Shane Walsh actually this time of year, like in terms of physicality and fitness and just pure form. So it's actually great to see. But I think what really stands out for Galway, for me anyways, is that, I know everybody goes on about like the 11v11 up top and everything like that, but I just think the quality of Galway's backs, as in Barry kind of touched on it there, like he's naming lads like Jack Glynn, Johnny McGrath, Sean Fitz, there's Liam Silk, John Daly, Sean Kelly. They're all good one-on-one defenders. Like, if you would see any forward going up against them, you'd be still like, you'd be confident enough that, they can marshal them. So I think that's where one of Galway's big strengths are, is that they actually have very, very good one-on-one defenders, and lads to come in there and make a big difference. Like John Maher is there, he's making fantastic blocks for us during the game. It's a seriously hard working team, and we do have that kind of touch of class up top. But it's I think they've been really good, and I think the development going in towards the championship is great as well. Like it would be, I think, be great for Galway to really probably go for this National League title. Like it hasn't been won since the 80s here in Galway. You can only win 3 finals at the start of the year. There's only 2 national competitions, and they're in pole position to make the final of one of them. So it'd be really good, like if they can probably finish this National League off, getting to Croke Park, another great day out for them, because Barry said as well, like Croke Park plays that bit different. It is that bit faster. Everything moves a bit quicker up there as well. Like, so even to get a game under the new rules up there as well would be a massive advantage for Galway. Hopefully, going on later on in the summer months too.
On the goalkeeper debate at the minute, obviously Conor Flaherty's come in the last few games and did really well, man. As Conor Gleeson was there before that. Do you think that's a good thing to have?
Yeah, I think it's good to have competition. Like, I think Conor Flow, he started the Division 2 league final only a few years ago until he injured his quad. And, in fairness, Conor Gleeson has stood out, over the last few years for Galway as the Galway number 1. Like, I think Porrick has probably done a really good job in kind of keeping that level of consistency there. Like, there's probably, back to Barry's time, I'd say there's been numerous amount of goalies that have been in and out from a Galway setup. And I think Porrick has given that confidence to Conor over the last few years, like, that he has backed him and really provided him with big moments. And, he got duly rewarded last year, like when he kicked the winner against Mayo in the Connacht Championship. Like, so I think that bit of competition, though, is always going to be good. And it's always important, like that, if Conor does get injured, that Conor Flack can step up. And he has shown that he is a very, very good keeper with a really bright future ahead of him. Like, so he might have to bide his time, but he's putting in the work, and you can see it. Like, he's very good kicker of the ball. He's very comfortable on the ball. He's not afraid to take a shot, which is great. Like, so it's really positive, I think. Like, I think Galway have 2 very good goalkeepers in there at the moment. Like, so, that's a big positive, and, that only kind of fills backs and midfielders and management with confidence as well. Like, that if you have 2 good keepers going there the whole time, that the standards are going to be kept high.
Barry, even looking at this weekend, the record against Dublin historically for Galway, it's not a good record. But even we look back to last year, and it was probably one of the standout moments where we knocked Dublin out of the championship, and it was a great moment for supporters and everything. Do you think it's important now, when I suppose Galway have shown the form, they've been really impressive throughout the league, that they can, I suppose, get used to this feeling of beating Dublin again in Croke Park?
Yeah, I guess it is. I would say that, okay, maybe we haven't bet Dublin that many times, but we haven't played them that many times. And I think Porrick even said himself, he never played Dublin in championship football in his career. I would say our Kerry was probably one that, I think was a Kevin that was in charge of us when we finally broke that hoodoo. And I think that was probably more of a, I suppose, weight on the shoulders of Galway football than Dublin. And I think that win in Dublin, or that win against Dublin in the championship last year, like the outpouring of emotion, I suppose nearly was more of a testament to the respect that Dublin football team is held in Galway and nationally, rather than an outpouring of emotion because we finally got to beat Dublin. So I don't think that plays heavily on their mind. I think it's definitely an opportunity, though, that you get to lay down a marker, and the top teams always like to beat the teams that are, and like Galway probably in terms of the rankings are a little bit ahead of Dublin. So I think it's important that when you do get an opportunity to keep the teams below you, you go for that. And, I often reference, like, when Kilkenny hurlers were at their pomp, when they got these league games against the likes of Galway, who maybe they felt was coming up behind them, if they got an opportunity to keep the foot in the throat, they went after it, no holds barred. And I think if Galway get an opportunity against Dublin on Saturday evening to get one over on them, I think it'll be really, really important. But it's not to be all and end all. I don't think it'll certainly, I don't think it'll define their season. And if I just touch on a point Maghnus made about Shane being, the condition that he's in, the form that he's in, like no one needs to add. I certainly don't need to add anything anyone has said about that. But for me, the player that has lit it up for Galway, and it's like getting a new Rolls Royce of a footballer, is Sean Kelly. I think he has been majestical. There's no stopping him. When he gets that run on you, the pace, the power, and I think if he can just bring a bit of finishing to what he has done so far in the league, then we're looking at, touch wood, he stays fit. You're looking at one of the top footballers in the country, and probably hasn't shown that form for a couple of years. And it's brilliant to have him back, and testament to himself and Shane what they've done obviously over the winter to get themselves into that condition that they can go and perform like that.
Maghnus, Barry touched there about rankings. Would you say at the minute that Galway are All-Ireland favourites?
Oh,
be careful, Maghnus.
Yeah, listen, Galway are definitely top 4 contenders. There's no doubt about it. Rankings.
Would you say they're number 1?
I don't want to name anybody a number 1, anyways. But they're in very, very good condition going into the championship. But again, you won't know these things till about for another 6-7 weeks, really. Mayo only kind of sorted themselves out. Armagh are there. Their Kerry are going to be there. You don't know what the Dubs as well come the championship. There's you don't know. I think really it all depends on lads who really knuckle down and really take to these new rules and everything like that. But Galway are in pole position, no doubt about it. In fairness, our long range kicking is a big benefit. Matthew Tierney's great long range kicker, Shane Watt long range kicker, and they seem to eat into them 2-pointers all the time in every game. It's just not 1 or 2. They're kicking them all the time. So that's a huge, huge advantage to Galway going into the championship.
Are they favourites for you at the minute, Barry?
Are they favourites in Paddy Powers?
I'm actually not sure at the minute. I will check that one now for you.
Bookies seldom get it wrong. So I'll tell you, if they have them favourites, they're favourites for me. I think, look, while you're checking that, look, let's call a spade a spade. They probably are. I think I think they're definitely, they're going, all the signals are really positive.
Fourth favourites.
What?
Fourth favourites.
Fourth, right. Yeah. Who's favourites?
Kerry 7-2, Donegal 7-2, and Dublin 4-1.
Yeah, no, I'm not having that now. I couldn't see how Kerry or Donegal are ahead of Galway or Dublin, to be honest. Which probably means I think they're favourites. I think they've more options. What really impresses me is Maghnus, you've been on the line, you know what a manager is looking for, is to have those moments of class. Shane's kick off into the teeth of the wind against Donegal off the ground with his left, that, very few teams have anyone that can do that. And that's a big crowd pleaser. But it's the honesty and the work rate. And when you've the likes of John Maher and Sean Kelly and Johnny McGrath and Keane Darcy, all these lads that just work their socks off for you, and they get so many turnovers, they get so many tackles in, they get so many dispossessions. That's what Pádraig and all his management team that's what they'll get the biggest kick out of, because moments of brilliance are probably individual moments of brilliance that aren't going to be overly, they're not coached by the managers that they have at present. They've been coached since they were 6 years old. But the honesty and the effort and the lack of ego and the work rate, that's what they're preaching Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday in Loch George. And when they see that bearing fruition on the pitch, that's the biggest kick you'll get. And even for supporters, like, you know, against Donegal the last day in Pearse Stadium, like the biggest cheers were coming from those turnovers, not the moments of individual brilliance. And that's a sign of a really, really good team, and a team that's playing for their manager, and a team that's going in the right direction.
It has been a noticeable trend, Manus, even from that middle third, the work John Maher and these players have got through.
Yeah, absolutely. But that middle third now is a war zone. Like, if you're not willing to put in kind of a shift now, like, and you know, that's the minimum that should be a requirement for an inter-county footballer now, is to be able to put in the shift. Like, but all we have the lads there that are able to get these dispositions, like, you know, like John Maher has been top class for Galway the last while. You know, Keane Darcy has been revitalised under Porrick there, is a real renaissance in his career again, like, you know. And when you add all them lads that are willing to put in the shift, and it's not just saying like Paul Conroy's putting in a shift, Shane's putting in a shift, everybody's putting in a shift, and there is no ego on that team. You know, there's no like, I'm going to stand here and just do my job. You know, everybody's putting in the work. Like, and when Galway get a turnover, they feed off that energy. You can feel it in the crowd, you can feel it on the field, and it eats into the opposition. When you get a turnover, and Barry knows himself, like, when you win a turnover there, like, it lifts you. You get energy out of it. Like, you know, you're back on the ball again. You have got energy. The opposition are tired because they're chasing you. You know, that's huge. Like, and that's the first thing that probably any manager will look for, is that pure honesty that will go after teams and really, really put a massive shift in before any sort of result or any point is kicked. Because if you can do that, you know, you're on the right track to go and get good results. And Galway have gotten good results up to now.
On a Manus, like we've seen John Maher, Keane Darcy, Killy McDade, Paul Conroy, and all of these roles around the middle third. But with the way the rules are at the minute, do you expect Paul Conroy is going to push on to more of an advanced position now?
Yes and no. Like, Paul's such a smart footballer. He's played inside for Galway. He's played on the half forward line as well. Like, but I suppose you can't underestimate like the role that man has around the middle of the field. Like, he seems to be able to just slow the game down just to suit him. You know, he can bring other players into the game. He's always cool, calm, collected. But you know, I think what everybody enjoys about Paul is that, like, every time he gets the ball, it's heads up. He's looking to deliver a pass first time straight away. Like, it's not head down, but he's up and down the field himself. Like, you know, he has a massive influence on the game for Galway. You know, it could be a stages like with the three up like that. You know, that he might, you know, stay up there for maybe 5-10 minutes. You know, recharge the legs, because just the way the game has gone, it's more helter skelter around the middle of the field. But he's got a massive role to play around the middle of the field, I think, still for Galway.
How do you see that middle third, Barry? Because even we've seen Killy McDade in a more advanced position against Tyrone, even coming on to where he got his 2 points. Would you see McDade or Conroy pushing on to more of an advanced role in attack, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I think Shane. So Shane and Rob, if Rob is fit, will probably occupy two of those three that have to stay up top. And I think then Paul and Matthew Tierney will probably swap in and out a good bit, because teams will seem to like a little bit of height in around the full forward spot at times if they're attacking. So I think Matthew or Paul will probably kind of operate as the third person in and out. And then you're looking at kind of nearly four across the middle with John Maher, Killian, Keane Darcy, and, you know, either Paul or Matthew. So I think we're so well set in the players and the talent that's available to us. You know, if you have the likes of Killian McDade running at pace, you have Paul Conroy out there that can kick inside to these forwards. Like, you have an array of talent, an abundance of talent, and you've guys coming off the bench that are trying really, really hard to get into that team as well. But I think definitely, you know, Shane and Rob will occupy two of them spots up top, and I think Matthew Tierney then and Paul will drop in and out between the two of them.
I know Manus Porrick has referenced that this could be the game where Damien Comer makes his first start for Galway this year. What a lift this would be to have him back for a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I suppose Shane and Damo's injuries over the last year have been kind of well documented and everything like that. But I think just it's to get minutes into Damo's legs, and where he gets through a game injury free, feeling good, it'd be a huge boost for Galway. Like, because these new rules, you see way more one-on-ones, and I suppose teams have been smothering Damien for the last I'd say, few years. Like, when he does get his one-on-one, there's no stopping Damo. Like, when he gets a one-on-one, like, he is so physically strong. He's unbelievably direct. Like, and I think these rules can also, like, they can really revitalize him as well. Like, in terms of how Shane has really taken to the 2-pointers, but like in terms of one-on-ones, you can put any kind of ball into Damo, high, low, anything, and he has a very good chance of winning it. He's a physically dominating forward, and I think he would terrify full back lines if he's left in there one-on-one. Like, I would say that majority of lads that play in the full back line would not want to mark him in these new rules where you don't have your one or two sweepers coming back to help you out. And it'd be great, like, to get minutes into him. And the more minutes we can get into Damien before the championship will only put us on a stronger road towards the championship. And please God, towards the Sam Maguire in the summer. But we need all our lads fit. We need them injury free, and I think that'll be the big one for Galway this year. If we can get through the next few months injury free, i.e., like the Sean Kellys, the Shane Walshes, the Damien Comers, like, if they're injury free, like, we've got a great crack at it.
How would you see the makeup of the team going this weekend, Malice? Do you see them going as strong as possible? Do you see more younger players being afforded an opportunity?
I think lads will probably have to earn their jersey as well. Like, I can't see maybe Porrick ripping up the script too much. That you beat Dublin, you are in the league final. That's the way it is. Like, and you can, if you beat Dublin this weekend, you might be able to say, actually, we'll make a few changes possibly for the following weekend. But Barry's touching as well. Like, Porrick wants to win these games. Like, he wants to win every game that he possibly can. So I think Galway will be going strong and get that experience up there because I know the National League is so condensed; it goes into the Championship now. Like, but like, I suppose if Galway could win a National League title before heading out to New York, like, what a lift that'll be like, and what a lift and a buzz that would be in the county that Galway were, by the end of the month, were National League champions. Like, it'd be huge, be a real, real big achievement, and another medal in the back pocket for those players as well. Like, and that's what they'll want at the end of the day too.
Barry, just looking back at the Tyrone game, Galway mixed and matched a bit there, but half time, Porrick takes off. Jack Lynn and Keane Hernan and Dylan McHugh and Keane Darcy come in. Do you see him more or less sticking with the same? Now, name that's jumping out to me and probably going on the Tyrone performance, Jack O'Neill probably has to start this weekend.
Yeah, I think am I still on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I will have said I thought that Dylan and Keane were two lads that maybe hadn't got to the pitch of where they were this time last year. Now, I've no doubt that when we really need them, that they will be at the level that we expect them to be, because Dylan McHugh has been probably our most consistent player over the last 5 years. He's been absolutely outstanding. And I thought he did well when he came in against Tyrone. I think Jack O'Neill will start. Like, it depends on injuries. Like, will Killian start? How's Killian getting on? Yeah, Jack O'Neill probably will start. I thought he did really well against Tyrone, but like, we're second guessing a lot of stuff here because we don't know. Like, they'll have sat down and said, look, we need to get, every week they'll be looking at how far out from championship are we? How many minutes do we need to get into the legs here? And they might feel that, look, Killian McDade, Paul Conroy, they need game time. Does Matthew Tierney come back into the mix now after missing the last day? So, yeah, on merit, Jack O'Neill should start. But when someone starts, it also means someone has to miss out. And just with the depth of the Galway panel at the minute, it's hard to know who that is.
From looking at corner forward, we've seen Cillian O'Curran in the first few games. Haven't really seen him since. Brian Mannion's come in the last day in Tuam. Matthew Thompson came in. Do you think they will want to get one of those inside forwards in there that maybe, not that will break through this year, but to have as an option when it comes to the championship?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they'll also be looking at Freeze and Killian, in fairness to him. We know at the minute Shane is, he's shooting the lights out and his frees are consistent. And we do have a couple of free takers, but if injuries were to strike, it's important that we do get a good free taker on the pitch as well. And in fairness to Killian, maybe he didn't shoot the lights out from play, but I thought from frees he was really consistent, and I'd say he'll be hoping to get a bit more game time. I thought he'd done well. Surprised we haven't seen more of him, but again, we don't know what's going on in Lochgeorge on the Tuesday and Thursday. They could be saying, look, we were happy enough with what we saw for the first 3 league games. Maybe we just need to give an opportunity to other players now. So, we're second guessing management in terms of the team, but yeah, I think they're giving opportunities to everyone, because in terms of that corner forward position, because maybe historically when we've lost Rob, we haven't had an awful lot of options inside. And I think that's probably one of the areas that we focused on this year, to see can we develop more options.
Yeah, even with that, it's a good point that we haven't seen much of Cillian O'Curran since, and even your own club man, Finian O'Lee, Manus, we haven't seen much of him either. Would you expect some of those players to be given a chance this weekend?
Yeah, possibly. Again, you don't know what management are planning for these players and everything like that. Like, there's a lot of good lads there, and I like the looks of Matthew Thompson as a footballer myself. I think he'll be a really, really good footballer for Galway for years to come, and first year in on the panel and everything like that. And I suppose we have to probably think of it like if these lads that are coming in now are coming in from the under-20s. I know Cillian is not under-20 this year, but before it was obviously the under-21s, and you'd have that kind of development going in towards May, and just that extra year just probably to get ready for senior county football. So a lot of these lads are still developing as county footballers. They're still developing in the gym. They're getting their training done and everything like that. So it's good. Cillian is a top class free taker. If it came down to it, you'd be very confident of him putting the ball over the bar. But I think it's good that the management are trying out new lads in the corner forward position and all over the place. We need all these options all over the place. So it'll be very interesting to see who gets game time at the weekend, and how does it go ahead the following weekend against Kerry. So it's positive. I think it's very positive. I think what's really positive is that we don't have that many lads on the injury table, which is, I think, is really good.
It's only Damo and Tomo at the minute, really.
That's huge. Everybody's been giving out the last year, 2 years about all these injuries and everything like that. But I think all these options and everything that the management have, they can only pick X amount of players to tag on the day. So to pick a 15 then is going to be very hard. But I think it's a really, really good position. The numbers of training must be really high. Everybody's out there on the field. So, it's up to lads to put their hands up on the Tuesday, Thursday as well. For as much of, you want to see lads play and everything that, you have to put your hand up. You have to, earn that spot and earn the minutes you get to.
Manus, we've seen, and I nearly make it 4 different players in the 6 jersey this year. Seen Sean Kelly there. We've seen Sean McKern. We've seen John Daly. We've seen Liam Silk. Do you think it's a good thing there about the number 6 that anyone could fill in there, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it is a good thing. I think John Daly is a top class centre half back, playing there. Obviously he didn't start, the All-Ireland final last year, but he's really come back into it again this year. Liam Silk has been excellent there. All these options are huge. And I think it might come down to on the day, who Galway are playing, what opposition. I might actually go saying, actually, this is the number 6 we need for this game. It could be against Kerry or Dublin or whatever. So it's great to have them options, that you're not fixated on one player that can play that position. You need to have options the whole time.
On that, Barry, who do you see who has the number 6 jersey at the minute, or do you think?
I don't really know. I think it's more of a case who are your six best backs. And I think you could safely say come championship, Dylan McHugh will start, Liam Silk will start, Sean Kelly will start, Johnny McGrath will start. That's 4. Then you're probably looking at Cian Hernan. I think will definitely occupy one of those back spots. I know he's played out. I just think they really like him. I think we'll see a little bit of him at cornerback over the next couple of games. But you're looking at, so for those
Daniel O'Flaherty,
so you're looking at Daniel O'Flaherty at the moment is in pole position. At the moment, the pole positions are Sean Fitzgerald and Daniel O'Flaherty. But you're also saying Jack Lynn, who I think is an unbelievable footballer. Cian Hernan, as we've mentioned. So you've loads and loads of options of fellas. But I think at the minute, you might see Liam Silk just have to occupy that sixth spot with Dylan McHugh, Sean Kelly either side of him, Daniel O'Flaherty, Johnny McGrath, and probably Sean Fitzgerald at the minute. There's six backs.
Yeah. Well, I suppose even if you look back to the Dublin game last year, it was John Daly all year, and then it went to Liam Silk at 6, so they weren't afraid to change it when it came to that.
Yeah, 100%. And like Liam Silk is like John Daly's absolutely outstanding footballer. Maybe just his injury profile might have caught up with him, and just that troublesome knee he has might just have slowed the legs a little bit. He still has it in the brain. He's still a brilliant kicker of the ball, and that might be something that they say, look, we need to get him in the team, because if we can break a tackle, shift the ball on 15, 20 meters to a John Daly who's free, and we can move it, particularly now when it's 11v11. If you can break the line quickly and kick quickly, then you're on to a winner. And John Daly, as you know, is just an outstanding kicker of the ball. But I think that if you're looking just for an out and out, a guy who can just go and mark, can take a player out of the game, he can attack, he can create. I think Liam Silk is everything that you're looking for in those qualities. And like, we've seen what he's done for Galway. To me, I think I've been on here and said it before. Previously, you would have said Paul Conroy was one of the most underrated footballers in the country, or that we've ever had. I think Liam Silk is in that bracket now. I think we should appreciate what we have when we have him. He's just an absolute.
You just think it's naturally he doesn't get credit?
Yeah, for me, he doesn't. I think what he's achieved, how he goes about his business, like never injured, just plays every day, performs. He's an 8 out of 10 every day. You never see him get flustered or be in trouble, and he can do everything that you're expecting of a modern intercounty footballer. And for me, he's the complete one. And he'll probably occupy that 6th jersey for the next couple of games anyway.
Maghnus, on Galway's opponents, Dublin, Saturday night. What do you think Dublin are going to bring on Saturday night?
Well, state the obvious, like they're going to bring a lot of high intensity energy. They're going to be at home. They want to lay down a marker as well. Whatever happened last year as well at the championship, it's a new Dublin team, but it's still the same management. He will want to get that right, that wrong as well. So I expect that they're going to kind of come out all guns blazing for that. Like, it'd be a great marker for the Dubs to try and beat Galway when Galway are going so well too. Like, and say, actually, we want to bring you down a level or two. But it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. I think it's setting itself up nicely there for Galway to play a really good team there. Last 2 rounds of the league, really battle hard in themselves, getting into the championship too. It's working out really well for Galway, I think, at the moment.
If we look at Dublin so far, probably stating the obvious, but the players who haven't retired have been their main players throughout the league, Maghnus. You're looking at your Kilkennys. Sean Bugler started the league like a house on fire, but then picked up a nasty injury against Derry. Con has came back into it. Brian Howard has been excellent in midfield. Niall Scully as well has been very good. They've really been the players driving this for Dublin so far.
Yeah, they have. Like, and obviously, you'll have Cluxton come back into it. They're just really top class players. Like them lads that you've all named there, Paul. Like, they have between them, I'd say, give or take 30 plus All Ireland medals between them. Between the whole lot. Like, it's incredible what they're doing, and for them lads to still be showing the hunger. Like Kieran Kilkenny, like, he was dropped by Jesse Farrell only a few years ago. He was kind of struggling to kind of get back into the Dublin team. He took that like as if to say, actually, I'll really show you I'm still the Kieran Kilkenny of 10 years ago, and has been immense since he kind of really solidified himself back in the starting lineup. Like, Brian Howard has been playing all over the pitch for Dublin over the last few years. So, even with these few retirees that they have, it gives them lads kind of that more responsibility on the field. Like, actually, we don't have X, Y, and Z, but you know what? You can rely on me to lift my game, and I can show these lads that are coming into the panel, this is the way that we've been doing things. This is the way we've been winning All Ireland. So you have to get up to this standard, or do your very best to try and maintain a very good culture within the group. Like, and I think that's what they're doing. Like, that it's very important that Desi can still rely on those lads to kind of keep building this culture that's been ingrained in the Dubs for the last 15 years.
The thing about it is too, I know they've been gradually getting players back. Costello came back to last night against Armagh, but I do have a feeling with the way the results have went for Dublin, particularly their Armagh game, they're probably disappointed there. They probably, you get the feeling they're going to go as strong as possible this weekend.
Yeah, well, no more than how Galway have gotten a lot of their main men on the field at the moment. Like the Dubs don't want to get their main men on the field because they won't want to go into a Leinster Championship kind of, undercooked or anything like that. Like, they don't want to come across Meath who've been getting up good scoring as well. And, they don't want to get caught out either. So, yeah, I expect the Dubs to go very strong. I expect them to really go after the result. Like, if the Dubs win, that puts them on 8 points with Galway there as well. They might be saying to themselves, actually, you know what, this could be great for this new Dublin team to get to a league final, kind of coming from the back of the pack almost, really, to try and sneak into it. Like, so that will give them the head-to-head. It might come down to Galway versus Kerry on the last weekend as well, to see who might make it. But a Galway win would put them in it, but a Dublin win puts them in a great position to make a league final too then. So it would be interesting to see what the manager's thoughts would be, like what's Desi's thoughts on it, what's Porrick's thoughts on it. But I think Porrick said it from day one, he wants to go out and win the National League title, and they're in a good position for it. For Desi, he's building a new team, but to win finals is a great way to build a culture and keep building on it as well, and you get that winning factor back within the camp as well.
Yeah, we just lost Barry there as well. Unfortunately, his connection just went. But man, it's even from looking at the table ahead of this weekend, Galway obviously sit top on 8 at the minute. Donegal second on 8 points as well. Dublin third on 6. Armagh then just behind on 5 points. Mayo on 5 points. Kerry on 4. Tyrone on 3, and Derry on 1. In one way, Galway win this weekend, they guaranteed their place in the league final, and they don't need to get into complicated permutations. So if they just go out and win, they're in the league final. But if Galway were to lose this weekend, Donegal beat Tyrone, they'll move on to 10. Armagh beat Kerry, then they're just behind them on 7 points. And if Mayo beat Derry, then they're on 7 points as well. Like, it could be simple or it could get very messy here.
It could. It could get very messy very quickly, but we just don't know. We'll know more after this weekend as well. But again, Galway are in the pole position, I think, to make the league final, and to really lay down a marker for a lot of other county teams is to come and get us now. But as I said, there's so many teams there that could still make the league final. You wonder, are Donegal, have they really kind of said, actually, we have enough now, we don't want to make the league final? You'd wonder about some of the kind of decisions maybe from the Galway game that day, like with the guards personnel that weren't talked and everything. So it'll be interesting. Armagh, with everything that had gone on up there, they might want to say, geez, it'd be great to get up to Croke Park to another final as well. So a lot of teams will be going all out for it. Like I think like if Galway don't win and Kerry are beaten this weekend, Kerry could be in the show for relegation as well, and that could be a huge game for Kerry and it would be a huge game for Galway to try and, not saying, but down to permutations, like they could go down to Kerry the next day and relegate Kerry, that kind of way. So, there's massive games still to play. Like, so it'd be really interesting to see how all these new teams adapt to these new rules and to use them to their advantage, I suppose, at the weekend.
Isn't it a great position to be in, though, to have Dublin and Kerry in your final 2 games of the league?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and Galway have been in 2 All-Irelands the last few years. They've been showing a really, really good level of consistency. And I suppose it's taken a very long time to kind of get up to that kind of Division 1 standard, but actually being a top 4 team in the country, and a lot of credit goes to the Galway management for that, and a lot of the players and work that's been done at underage level with Galway, like getting all these players through and even getting 1 or 2 more new lads through in the panel this year. It's huge. So there's been a lot of really, really positive work done in Galway the last, I'd say, 10 years. So it's massive. And for people as well, it's not to bring people down a level or 2 or anything like that, but to appreciate where this current group of players and what they're doing at the moment is huge. Because we've had enough bad few years, post 01 with the guards, not getting up to Croke Park, not being X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot of credit going to these bunch of players, and we should really appreciate them while they're still all playing for Galway.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, it's Go Dublin Saturday evening, 7:30, and for supporters who can't make the trip to Croke Park at the weekend, it'll be live on TG4 as well. Manus, I haven't been chatting to you since your accomplishments with Anka. Big congratulations. Just on it, like the journey, everything. I remember chatting to you ahead of the Connacht final when you played the Sligo champions, and I could tell from you that Anka were going to make the most of this opportunity. But to get over the line in Croke Park, and I don't think the final was a cracking final, but there was just huge excitement towards the end because it was so tight.
Yeah, like listen, we kind of first of all, it was a fantastic experience, and to win a Club of Ireland up in Croke Park for any team is a huge deal. No matter what the level is, it was a I suppose it was a once in a lifetime opportunity for Carrow to get up there after two very bad years, getting relegated from senior to intermediate and everything like that. And there's a lot to be said for the group of players that were there, and the management team that came on board for me from the start. Like there was a lot of good work done from I suppose this time last year in January and everything, but it was absolutely brilliant. Like the All Ireland final wasn't a spectacle, but I suppose All Ireland finals are there to be won, and if you won by 16 points or by 1 point, it's still the same thing. They still ended up bringing the All Ireland back to Carrow, but overall we were actually very happy. Probably going into half time, we had kind of done very very well on the opposition kick out. We had really smothered them, but we were just very wasteful up top. Like, but again, I suppose at least we were creating the opportunities, which it was a positive in itself. Like you'd be saying something, geez, we're getting no chances to put the ball over the bar here. So I suppose if you keep shooting, eventually the ball will have to go over the bar, and that's exactly what happened to us at the end of the game as well.
Just on the winner and everything, like one of your younger players to step up like that from a management perspective to see that in Croke Park, it must be very satisfying.
Yeah, but I overall just thrilled for the likes of Neil and Stephen O'Brien, Porrigal Lidon, Erlo Crocher, lads that probably have soldiered on for Carrow for numerous years, and then yeah, the influx of the new young lads coming in through as well, like to really put a pep in their step. Like Matthew O'Donnell had a really good club year for us. He was exceptional in the Connacht series. I suppose Dara Jennings was like outstanding in the All Ireland series for us in the full back line. Miles McDonagh, was top class for us, and he's gone off to Australia at the moment, but I know he'll be back again. He had a phenomenal year, but Finnon only turned 18 at Christmas time, and he's just an exceptional young lad. Like, and please God, if he keeps going that trajectory, he might get a call in maybe for going under 20s next year and stuff like that. But he's a really good player, like, and it's great that a lad that young could be as fearless to take a shot on at that stage of the game, because when the ball was kicked, we weren't actually sure to go over the bar until we actually seen the umpire nod the head, and I was like, geez, I can't believe it. It was kind of a surreal moment, like, but it goes down to a lot of courage and stuff like that, and he was brilliant for us from the very first league game against the Aran Islands. He went in Mark Patrick O'Donnell and didn't really give him a ball the whole game, like, and you're learning an awful lot about lads at the time, when you're playing in league games and stuff like that, and it's great, like, and they're on the right trajectory now, back towards they're in intermediate football now, and they get a good crack now at the intermediate championship this year. But it's great, it was a fantastic journey, and to go and win it at the end of the day was just phenomenal.
You could see by the emotion on the pitch, but what were the days like after even going back to Carrow?
It was brilliant. Like, sure, the homecoming was something else. You were going into the absolute darkness, really, to be honest. And next door, all you see is these fireworks going off and fires, and it was just unbelievable. Like, and the celebrations were excellent. Like, and we had great crack. And in fairness to everybody back there, they really made the kind of I suppose the lack of power and electricity actually added to the moment too as well. Like, that you didn't have your mobile phone or anything, then nothing was working. It was absolutely gas, like, so everybody was just bumping into each other, and it was great. And it was phenomenal, and just what it done for the parish, the community was huge. For the guards, all the young people in the schools, but for a lot of old people at home, they're were listening to radios and stuff like that. Like, it meant an awful lot to them too.
Were you always going to step down after?
Well, I suppose for myself, I'm still playing football for the club as well. So managing an intermediate team and playing intermediate was not really an option. Like, so, a lot of thought goes into it. But you have an emotional attachment to a group of lads as well. Like, you've been training them all year and everything. But listen, when I stepped down, I was happy to step down because, listen, I still want to play. I'm only 33 going on 34, so I have another 2 or 3 years left before I start playing a bit of junior football or anything like that. Like, but no, I'm very happy back training with the club now and things are going well. So yeah, I'm very happy with the decision.
Was it difficult?
Yeah, well, like I suppose you're probably saying yourself, geez, they could really kick on and stuff like that. But again, that's just the way it is. You probably don't think about them things, but until you actually sit down and weigh up the pros and cons of everything. But again, it's a decision like I can stand over, and I was very happy to stand over it.
So you're hoping for Onsfidel and Ontario to be in the same group this year in the Intermediate Championship, I presume.
Yeah, sure. You may as well throw Miel Branos and Illinoran into it as well. Like, you might as well make it just a West group there. Like, it'll be absolutely grand. But no, listen, the Intermediate Championship again is going to be a ferocious battle. Like, Carrick-Stranahan after coming down there, and they want to bounce back as well. There's a lot of good teams. Calder had a phenomenal year last year. Ormore had a good year. Branos will be dangerous as well. They have firepower. Carrow have momentum from the junior. So there's a lot of teams there that will have a good show. But listen, it's good. It sets up the Intermediate Championship nicely. So it'll be very interesting. But there probably will be a few cracking games later on in the year.
Even just thinking of a lot of clubs this weekend. Realistically, at this stage of the year, a lot of clubs probably don't know where they're at, but the club league's starting up now this weekend.
Yeah, the club leagues are starting up, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. I would probably say the people I would probably feel sorry for this weekend is probably the referees. That if the county board do decide that the implementation of these new rules are going to come in, like, realistically, a referee cannot do it on their own. Like, they're going to need a linesman or a linesman and an umpire, mic'd up all the time for it. Like, but I think there'll be a lot of teething problems at club level with it. But I think you'll see a lot of clubs doing their very best to try and implement the rules. But it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting and it'll be good. And I think it's made the game better, definitely at county level. Definitely from what I've seen at club level as well, there's way more one-on-one, there's way more goal chances on as well. So it's I think it's all positive.
Would you expect the non-talking subs to be released this weekend, or is there been any word about it?
I doubt it, to be honest. I think when you're involved with the county setup, you're there, and that's your role for the next few months as well. Like, that's why they came up with the split season. So again, you wouldn't know. They might say, oh, this lad needs game time or something like that, but that would be a complete management decision. And, whoever gets released, you're probably saying it's a positive for them that they get some game time in. But again, you want to keep everybody and keep that momentum and keep that bubble really, really tight as well in at the county setup. You don't want stuff leaking out or even from the outside on, oh, these 2 or 3 lads, or released to play club level, or what. Where does that lead them on the county setup and stuff like that? So I reckon that everybody will probably just be togged, or they'll be up in Croke anyways for Saturday. But yeah, that I think that's probably what we'll see at the weekend.
Great stuff, Manus. Well, that's all we do. Time for on today's show. Thanks a million to Manus and Barry for coming on to this week's podcast.